Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Deadpool Wolverine. This is the latest entry in the MCU, which is the first outing in the MCU for Deadpool and Wolverine, and this is the third film in the Deadpool franchise as Shawn Levy of Free Guy fame and The Atom Project, and a bunch of other stuff that doesn't have Ryan Reynolds in it, but those films kind of got him into this situation. He previously did Real Steel with Hugh Jackman as well, and Shawn Levy takes the reins of this raunchy, wild, crazy, gory, action-filled comic book adaptation. And what's so fascinating about this film is what it's trying to do in terms of its big overarching themes. It's all about legacy. This is a love letter to the Marvel projects that happened in the late 90s through the mid-2000s that were, sporadically popping in. Sure, you had X-Men and Spider-Man, but there was these other projects as well that were popping up, and before the MCU was threading this all together into one big shared universe. And what this film is able to do and commentates on is, like I said, legacy and the creative process. Some of the characters that get highlighted in this film were never really given the proper send-off. Some of them were never given the proper project to shine. And some of them, they never even got a chance to make it and shine because of behind-the-scenes things. And also, specifically, the journey that both Deadpool and Wolverine go on in this film. They have very interesting but impactful and poignant arcs. And with Deadpool, Wade has always just been his thing and doing his thing off to the side. He never being allowed to be an X-Men member. X-Force didn't really work out. And there's moments where it's like they show him trying to be an Avenger, wanting to be a part of something bigger. And this film is showing him trying to prove that he can do something bigger. And showing his loved ones, showing himself, and showing other heroes, but most importantly, the audience on the other side of the screen. Wolverine is in an interesting situation because this is a Logan variant, still played by Hugh Jackman, which there's a wonderful sequence where Deadpool's trying to find a Wolverine variant, and that's all I'll say. But you have this character who is the worst Wolverine, according to the TVA. And he just did not do what he needed to do as a hero. And there's a lot of trauma and baggage. But what he represents is the idea that, Wolverine as a character in the X-Men franchise was the most overachieving character, I think, in the history of comic book films. Because he was never supposed to be the leader of the X-Men. He's never supposed to be the X-Man. That's not what Wolverine is in the comics or even the cartoon. But how it was adapted and how Hugh Jackman brought Wolverine to life became the X-Men character. But what if he didn't? And that's this character. And that's the baggage and the legacy, the burden that is on this Logan. And you have Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman bringing fantastic performances. They're both hilarious, and they both have an immense chemistry together. But it's the emotional weight of these journeys that they're going on that really sell it. This film opens with a particular scene that references a really big moment in the X-Men films. Uses that in both an important and significant way, and also a very Deadpool kind of subversion kind of way. It has incredible action. It is bloody, it's gory, it's absolutely hilarious with the quips from Deadpool, the slapstick comedy, no matter how raunchy that slapstick comedy is, and also the music choices. That opening sequence of this film is this film in a nutshell. If you're on board with that opening scene, you're on board with this film. If you're not, then you don't like Deadpool, and you're not going to like this film. But it sets the tone, and Shawn Levy picks up that ball and runs with it. there are certainly scenes that are deeply resonant and emotional that he's able to capture, particularly centered around Deadpool and Wolverine. But also, you have the character of Cassandra Nova, Emma Corrin's character, the long-lost sister of Charles Xavier. And that legacy, that burden that's put on her. And Corrin, they give a fantastic performance that is both like bitingly charming, but also scary and dangerous. And this story is focused on Matthew McFadden, who's Mr. Paradox, kind of pushes all this into action as a member of the TVA. And this is an interesting continuation of the TVA story from Loki because they changed everything after Loki Season 2. The whole entire purpose and mission of the TVA. But what if not everybody was on board with the change and wanted to keep things status quo? And that is the conspiracy that launches this whole entire story of Deadpool trying to save his dying world. Logan trying to be redemptive for his world that he screwed up. And having that journey. And Cassandra Nova is the perfect roadblock because most of this film is forced into the void, the junkyard of the multiverse. And which, if there's junk there and a bunch of characters get put there, there's an insane amount of cameos and interesting appearances from all kinds of variants and comic book characters along the way. I'm not going to go into all of them, but let's just say there's some really interesting choices here and some great performances from actors who really finally get to shine. Some of which are fun, some of them add some big, enriching, emotional moments, and some of them are just badass. But Nova is a character who is a great foil, as Nova has found this lordship of the void and doesn't want to give that up because that's all Cassandra Nova has. And between Nova and the TVA, there's some rock solid conflict to structure this personal journey that Deadpool and Wolverine are going on in this film. This film is hilarious. It is meta, it is clever, it's ridiculous. The action is incredible. There's two set pieces, one in the second act, one in the third act, that this is why we watch Deadpool. It's incredible, it's ridiculous, it's over the top. Now, Sean Levy, I think, does a good job of balancing the tone, the humor, the emotion, bringing that all together. This film's not really an auteur kind of approach to filmmaking. This has the same exact problem that Spider-Man No Way Home had. That there's moments where this definitely feels like something being pulled together with big budgets and effects, and you see the green screens. You see people being brought into scenes that maybe they weren't really there. It's obvious, and sometimes it's distracting. But the music choices, the tone, the humor, the emotion, the action, just all of it together really crafts a great story that is hilarious and emotional. And by the end, if this were to be the last film for Deadpool and Wolverine, I think it would be a wonderful, wonderful send-off for these characters and just generally a love letter to pre-MCU Marvel. But there's that glimpse of a chance that that door might be opened again, and that's what's fun and exciting about it. This story works, and this journey, this narrative, these themes work for what this film is, and it fits nicely into a bigger, broader perspective if they choose to explore it more. But this is an extremely satisfying continuation of Deadpool's story and an interesting exploration of a whole period of time in comic book filmmaking that just brought back to life in such vibrant and fun and crazy bloody ways. And raunchy and dirty ways as well, because of course this is Deadpool. But those are my thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.